Good evening, my name is Dennis Bass-Majan, and my topic tonight is legalization of prostitution. And before I begin, I would like the audience to introduce themselves, tell us whether you're a classmate or a visitor. And also, I have sent out the evaluations for you to grade me on my speech. So if you would fill those out, please, during the class, I would expect that would help. Thank you for that.
Wanda?
Brittany?
Jerry? Jeff. Sorry.
Sarah, Andy?
Chris, Andy.
Okay, thank you all for coming. As I said, my topic tonight is legalization of prostitution, a very hot subject, if you want to call it a hot subject. And specific purpose is to persuade my audience to accept the concept of legalization of prostitution. By legalizing this industry, and it is an industry, many of the negatives associated with prostitution will be reduced. Regardless of the moral views you have on the subject, there's one undeniable fact. Throughout mankind's history, there's always been prostitution. We are supposedly in an enlightened world society. We put sex on display in everything that happens around us. Advertisements, movies, everybody says sex sells, perfumes, even the way that we dress, men and women, are a testament to this fact. On the flip side, the moral compass for a number of people tells us that it is an evil thing. These women and men do. Moralists and religions have tried for millennia to eradicate prostitution without success. As a comparison, the U.S. government tried to outlaw the liquor trade in the 1930s, and we all saw what happened with that experiment. What it did was allow the criminal element to step in and take over the trade. That is what happened with prostitution. From a Dictionary of Public Health, John Last, he states, legalizing prostitution facilitates improved surveillance and control of sexually transmitted diseases and protection of sex workers from aggressive clients and abusive pimps. When the laws and regulations include medical supervision, the health and social problems associated with prostitution usually are much reduced. I sent out my surveys, and the results I got back are, do you have any objection to this matter? There were no objections, which I thank you for. We're all adults, and we can discuss a lot of things. And what is your opinion on the subject of legalizing prostitution? The answers went from agreeing to legalize it as to it will be there. And what do you consider the negatives? Again, the answers were varied. Some people thought it would open up the floodgates to more men using prostitutes. Others thought that women and children would be exploited. On that note, that's one of the reasons why it should be regulated. These things go on all the time, and we have to make sure that these people are protected. And what do you consider the positives? And the answers were better control over workers, health initiatives, and tax revenues. Who do you think should regulate this industry? And mostly everybody said a medical branch of the national government. And would you agree that prostitution will go on throughout history? And everybody said yes. And do you think that men and women are doing this out of necessity, forced, or trade as a choice? Most everybody thought they had a choice, although many cultures in the Far East and in Europe, there's forced sex slavery. I'm not going to give you, prostitution is legal in many of the countries around the world. 51 countries surveyed, it's legal in 28, mostly in Western Europe and Latin America. But brothel ownership is legal in only 11 of those countries. These countries that have legalized prostitution, their crime rate is lower than ours. So you see, it does have a positive effect on the legalization. Also, a survey in Great Britain by Timothy Brain, more than 90% of the street walking prostitutes in Great Britain use illegal drugs, compared to 69% of the higher-end indoor workers, known as call girls. And in 1% of the indoor workers, compared to the street girls, nearly 2/3 of them just use prostitution to feed their habit. One of the things that's stated is that they can, if they're inside and they're regulated, they can get help. Here there's a stigma attached, and they They just don't want to go and out themselves to the fact that they are prostitutes. Here's a list of 10 things that would be good and positive for the legalization of prostitution. It's good for the health of her customers or his customer. We just can't remember there are prostitutes. Deuce Bigelow, maybe. Legalized prostitution would allow the state to require all prostitutes to take regular health exams, helping ensure that he or she is not carrying a sexually transmitted disease. And usually, in women, it is the John that is giving it to her, not the other way around. It would give the prostitute employment rights. Many prostitutes are at the financial mercy of their pimps, who often take more than half of their income. Legalization would protect their rights. It would open the door to unionizations. I would love to see the union would take care of that, though. Unions would probably be the best enforcer of the industry. It would help ensure that under the radar, illegal, non-paying, non-health exam participants would stay off the streets. It's good for the health of the prostitute. People who live outside the law feel they can't turn to the law, as I stated earlier before. And prostitutes are regularly beaten, even killed, with little recourse by their pimps and by aggressive customers. Illegal prostitution costs us money. While the costs involved are hard to estimate, the police force would be better served with hard crime enforcement. Mainly when a prostitute is arrested, they're out on the street again within an hour. It's just a revolving door. So what have we accomplished than that? And to continue, we could tax prostitution the way we tax hospitality, higher than normal sales tax. Where would we be without taxing liquor these days and beer and all and that industry? It can't be prevented. There's a reason it's called the world's oldest profession. It's been around. It always will be. We might as well bring it out into the open. The laws are arbitrary. It's okay. Now, I probably had women come at me with this, but to have sex with strangers who pay for a woman to have sex with a man she hardly knows after he buys dinner or drinks, or jewelry or other trinkets, why is cash currency treated so differently? More jobs. With our ever-expanding employment rate, okay, it might be not the best idea, but you know that men and women and some men are turning to prostitution out of desperation. At least it would be something to legitimately put on a resume, and the Obama administration could take credit for creating some jobs. Finally, it's his or her body. What they do, that's America's right. What we do with our bodies are those rights. This is from the Social Justice Examiner. Wendy Griffin was the author of this. I'm now going to open up to opposing views, questions. What do you think? How do you feel about this? You?
I'm for it.
You're for it?
Yeah, I agree. Totally sold.
I really have no problem with it. I mean, it would prevent a lot of STDs and a lot of other problems that are associated with prostitution now.
Yeah. Brittany? I
I
know you're
think-
young, but
I think my one concern though is that a lot of people use prostitution for power, and I actually wrote this in my response to you, like, people pay for prostitution and it some people believe it advocates like having affairs and whatnot, but besides for those people that do that, I think that it's a much
a
better
man,
idea.
if he's going to have an affair, is going to have an affair regardless of whether it's a prostitute or another woman. A man who's going to be aggressive is going to be aggressive with a prostitute or another woman. It's in the makeup. It's not the person. They may feel they can take more liberties with a prostitute because they won't report it. But if you legalize it, then that man is going to be arrested, or he'll be outed as John. In conclusion, thank you for your questions. There is no conclusion. I doubt that this debate will be settled in this lecture or for many years. Society must overcome its moral and religious issues with prostitution before it tackles the government issues. One thing is certain, like death and taxes, prostitution is here to stay. Thank you.
You're welcome.